Everybody, welcome to a special episode of No Vacancy Live. Okay, not so live because this one is pre-recorded. We're doing this on the show floor of AHOACon 2022 here in Baltimore. Now, AHOACon is a little bit over by the time you guys are watching this, but let me tell you, it is a great event. So many people here. I think we're getting on 6,000 or so folks here. I didn't expect to see such great numbers, and I think it's really symbolic about how the hospitality industry is coming back. And again, we're seeing so many different brands and stuff. And one of the brands that I have not had a chance to talk with that's been making waves here in the hospitality industry are the good folks over at OYO. And that's why I've got with us today Mr. Prasun Choudhary and Dipali Gaswami of OYO. How are you all doing today?
Doing good, doing good.
It's really great to see you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. So let's get a little bit situated so everybody understands exactly what OYO is, right? Some of the other brands that we see around here that I'm not mentioning right now are household names, but you guys are still up and comers. You're nipping at everybody's heels and stuff like that. Tell us a little bit about what you are.
Hi. First of all, thank you for inviting us. So the OYO is pretty much a global brand, hospitality brand right now. We have close to 157,000 storefronts across the globe.
You got to repeat that number because it's insane.
157,000 storefronts present in 35 countries. And this is a story of just 8 or 9 years of last 8-9 years. So yeah, and we are a very tech-enabled brand, a very tech-friendly brand, which pretty much works on providing technology to all our storefronts, hotel owners, homeowners. Very partner-first brand. In US, we have approximately 300 hotels at this point of time across 38 states. So
the first one I ever saw, riding the Long Island Railroad from my home out in Smithtown, Long Island to the city, and I think it's right at the Jamaica train station, right across the street from there, right?
Great. I'm pretty sure you'll see much more of that.
Oh yeah, and I have. That was just the first one, and then it's like it's one of those things. I remember I got a Saturn car, right? It's an old brand that used to exist in 1992, and I'd never really seen them before. But the second I got it, I started seeing them everywhere. And the same thing is happening with OYO, in my opinion. Like suddenly, out of nowhere, you guys seem to be absolutely everywhere. So, what do you mean, though, folks, by tech-enabled? How is that really different than what we see from some of the traditional brands that we all know?
So, our technology suite is one product suite, which kind of enables everything for a partner. So the partner, they don't need a channel manager to connect to multiple OTAs. Our product does it for that. Our product does the revenue management. So the entire revenue management is taken care of. The operating system, the basic operations of the property are being taken care of. So there is one product which does it all for the property owner, and it saves them time. It saves them a lot of time. And not just that, typically we have seen that last year we beat the STR sub-market index by close to 30%. So we have been overperforming in all the regional markets. So that is where, and we have also removed a lot of restrictiveness across the brand. So in our case, like it's 90 days, no LD. So there's a lot of freedom and flexibility to our patrons in terms of inventory management, pricing management. So that is what I mean by saying tech-enabled, very tech-first brand.
Right. And we definitely need that focus on the revenue management because I find that a lot of owners don't necessarily have the confidence to set the rates in the right sort of way. They're more likely to not push them up in the way that we need to see them pushed up, and out of fear, sometimes drop them a little too much, right?
So it's a very interesting thing what you just brought in, Glenn. So the way it works for us is we have a very strong, and we are a very tech and data company. So we use a lot of data across all the channels to make sure that the pricing for the property is set in a way which optimizes for the property, which makes sure the property revenue and the property has the best revenue management. Now, as a human being or as an independent hotelier, it's always very tough to optimize it manually. In our case, it's a machine learning, it's an AI tool which does it for an entire portfolio. And by portfolio, I mean that it focuses on every property individually as well. So every property is being, the pricing curve is being smoothened to make sure there is revenue optimization. There is a comp set pricing logic which makes sure that the property is performing better than the competition set. And that's what we mean by revenue management when we say it's very tech-enabled, AI, ML based. And typically, most of the independent hotel owners or a hotel which is running all by itself, I wouldn't say they don't have good revenue managers, but
Right.
what I would say, it is very tough to match the tech capabilities which we have built, and that's where they get benefited by it.
It's interesting. So, Dipali, I got to get you in on this conversation here. What are you thinking about with what Prasun is saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think revenue management, the way that Oyo approaches it is very different from other brands.
Right.
We look at not only the market demand in each submarket, just to see who's there, who's clicking, who's booking, but we also look at how a micro comm set is performing. We look at how the city is performing, and we look at how the whole region is performing. So we take all of these insights. We work very closely with the property manager and the owner as well. And we make sure that, what the data is showing us lines up with what's going on at the property. And we work together with the patron, and we supply them so much data that might not be available to them otherwise without us. Without us, they're limited to extranet data from OTAs that they may or may not be working with. And even then, the data is skewed because it's only a subset of only people who are booking on Expedia or only people who are booking on Booking.com.
Right.
Whereas we have tons of aggregate data for the whole market.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. I feel like you guys are going to start talking about machine learning any second here, right?
We are already, a lot of that is already being implemented in everything what we do.
Right. So the systems, so the systems become smarter over time as they take in more data.
The data gets trained automatically. The more data you have, the data becomes much more efficient.
Yep. Yeah.
And I think what sets Oyo apart from other hotel brands specifically is that we're not just a hotel brand. We're very much at the intersection of hospitality and technology.
Right.
So about 20% of our talent is our data scientists and engineers, which is very different from anyone else that you might look at globally as a hospitality company.
Right. And you guys are coming out of India as well, which is a little different than the traditional American-based companies that we see. What was it like making your entry here into the United States, where we are right now?
So I think it has been a great learning journey for us. That's the best way I can take it. I have been with Oyo for now close to 7 years, so pretty much part of the founding initial leadership team. So the first few years we focused on India and Southeast Asia.
Yes.
And from there, the learnings which we had is where we took it to the other global markets. When I said we are now in 35 countries. The last 2-3 years has been great learning for us. Yes, I should. I'm really, very honest to accept that it was not a very easy beginning for us. A lot of things what we did in Southeast Asia was not necessarily working in what is in US.
Right.
And that is what we created a Oyo Advisory Council, which was a member of 10 of our owners who kept giving us advice on and off, and we learned a lot from them in changing our product for US and making sure our product is much more suitable and aligned to the US market. The pricing is more aligned to the US market.
That is interesting because you're not only dealing with the differences in pricing, the threshold, what people would pay here in the United States versus somebody in India, but also you've had to learn all the cultural differences and nuances when it comes to being able to market your product to the general public effectively. So, Dipali, what are some of those lessons that you've seen, that you've learned, that you've been able to leverage over the last number of years?
Yeah, sure. So I think Oyo was at a unique place when they entered in 2019, where they came, where we came in offering a totally different product from what hotel patrons were used to. And of course, there's teething pains and a learning curve that we went through here, as Prasun mentioned, being as the US market is so advanced and so developed, and we have these household names, as you mentioned before, that don't necessarily exist in Southeast Asia and India for the common person. The household names are not affordable for an average person. With that being said, I think that I've never been part of a company that's so agile and in adapting both operations and technology to match the market that they enter into. So since I've been with Oyo, we've had huge expansion in North America. That includes Canada and Mexico. And I have a firsthand look into how we change things for different countries, different geographies, even different regions within the United States, right? We offer different services to owners in the Northeast versus the Northwest. And our platform is really customizable in terms of the technology that anyone can opt in for or opt out for, and it's all inclusive, so there's no extra charge for using any of the features that we offer. And then also operationally, we have like different standards and different requirements. We work with each property at a property level to make sure that everyone is happy with what the service that Oyo is providing.
So just to give you an example of that, first of all, what Dipali mentioned, and I agree with it, is that the US market is much more sophisticated than the other markets.
Right.
And when we say we work very closely with the properties, that we have a monthly call on revenue management with them, which probably most of the other brands may not have, where we discuss with them, our revenue managers, how was their revenue, what are the changes they should do, what are the changes Oyo is doing to improve that. So that's like hyper personalization in making sure that we look at each and every property, we look at their operational issues, operational challenges, and we solve it together.
Could you give me an example, Prasun? You don't have to name a particular property or an individual, but of a challenge that you guys were met with that you were able to focus on and solve.
Yeah, so great. So I think it was on the revenue management side, where we were looking at a property, and we were seeing that the revenue has been constant for the last few months.
Right.
And then when we worked with the property, what we saw was that we looked at their multiple categories of room, and we realized that what if we have different, we technically have different pricing for different categories of room, but there were some rooms which were facing the beach, some rooms which were facing the the other side, some rooms which were king size for family. So making sure that the rooms names or the rooms categories pretty much depict that, pretty much show that, and then selling them at different prices at that level of localization, or at that level of, I would say, customization, we were able to improve the revenue of that property, which the property had never seen in the last few years. So yeah, there are many much more examples like that, where we work very closely at a property detailed level to go and solve issues for them.
It's really interesting. It sounds to me, Dipali, you're telling a story here of you're giving people insights to things that they didn't know that they didn't know, right?
Yeah.
So we have a product called a Revenue Health Scorecard. We're actually offering it, complimentary to AHOA members. And basically it's a 75-point checklist that helps identify any gaps or any places of improvement in your revenue health, right?
That's a lot of points.
It's a very, very exhaustive.
I didn't even know there were that many points
There
to consider.
There are.
In fact, there are more points. We are trying to keep it to 75.
Yeah, right. We had to shorten it to 75. And this is what our data science team looks at, what our revenue management team looks at, right? One property might be top in rankings. They might be in the 99th percentile for page views, but they might be in the bottom 10 percentile for conversion. And even in conversion, there are so many steps where people might be turned away, right? They might click but not book. They might click and book and then cancel and switch to another hotel. So
that sounds like me with all these hotel reservations I've been making and unmaking in the last 3 weeks.
Yep, I know. I feel like for the past 2 years, we keep making plans and canceling them. But yeah, so the Revenue Health Scorecard helps you identify exactly where your customer drop-off is happening or where your customer uplift is happening. And then based on that, we look at the market. Is it because you're not pet-friendly but the other hotels are? Is it because you don't offer early checkout? Let's say you offer early checkout. Maybe it's just not being depicted accurately online. So we really, really go into the property level and help make these adjustments and make these recommendations so that any property can succeed, right? And we've seen that most people who go through the Revenue Health Scorecard diagnostic process learn so much about their property, and it enables them, as operators, as owners, as revenue managers, to just, be there for the customer, and in turn grow their own profits and their revenues too.
That's cool. So Prasun, 75 different points. Give me an example of one or two of the more unusual ones that wouldn't readily come to the mind of a hotelier.
So it is, how is your future pricing curve look like? So you are doing pricing for the next few days, but how is your future pricing curve for the next 6 months look like? Doing that, and making sure that your future pricing curve is automatically updated. You don't have to, if there's any change in pricing on the comp set or in the industry, your pricing is also updated for the next 6 months. So you don't lose for an opportunity which is 3-4 months down the line. Second, while you may see that there is a lot of, you may feel that your conversion is very good, but then you really realize, the number of unique visitors on your platform is very less. So how do you first increase the number of unique visitors, what we call UV, to do something so that your property is ranked at the top? Because typically what we see is that, a customer would look at the first 5-6 properties. Yeah, and I think you also do something like that.
Well, honestly, I got a good status at one of the particular companies, so I wind up hewing closer to them. But most of the time I travel, I just stay at the convention hotel wherever I am. So I'm a little bit of a
different. Okay, so that's
square
not
peg round
for you,
hole guy.
but yeah, typically. So so how do we improve their unique visitors? Number of unique visitors coming to their website. So these are some of the unique data things which typically a owner may not look in so detail, which we try to look in detail when we talk of the diagnostic report. It could be anything, because a lot of time the owners are not at the property. So the diagnostic report can also identify that how many of your rooms were blocked for the last few months. So the owner may feel that, everything is going fine, but we say, hey, but 4 of your rooms were blocked on an average for the entire month. And 4 rooms, say, blocking on a 50-room property is a lot of revenue loss. So yeah, these kind of insights are revenue health scorecard, and it's an automated process. So it's not that someone is manually doing it. So it asks for data from the hotel owners, and based on that data, we make sure that the health scorecard is generated.
That's fascinating. So, Dipali, I'm curious it's about now how you're thinking about distribution and making sure consumers see the brand when they're making that decision in the top 5 or 6.
Yeah, definitely. So again, we develop a lot of our own AI ML products. One of those is photography. So we have a product called Oyo Frames, which again goes to all of our Oyo patrons free of charge.
Yeah.
It basically helps us optimize our whatever photos are online of a property. And we either retake the photos or we just make sure that they're taken from angles and.
Right, because I know exactly what you're getting at, Dipali. Because a lot of people back in the day would take out their disposable cameras, just click, and they think that's good enough. And I know the industry in general, a lot of the brands have been like, you need to have professional photography, this, that, and the other thing. Because if you don't have that right image, what you said from the right angles, you're just not going to get people to consider this, right?
It's not about professional photography. What Dipali was trying to say is, it's about AI ML based product tool which actually scores each and every photograph which is taken, and then only a photograph crosses we have a benchmark, only that photograph is uploaded on the website. So if it is not, we go for a reshoot. So it's not a manual process, and it's based, as you said, more data learns, the data itself learns. So it is based on our last 6-7 years of experience. On the direct to customers, what you said, we are the third most travel app being downloaded globally, the third most travel app.
Wow.
So that also helps us a lot in these 35 countries where once a customer downloads a travel app, wherever they go in these countries, it's very easy for them to book. And that is what one of our key core promises: make it as convenient and easy for a person to book a hotel. It's like you're just, it's a click of 3 buttons and you book a room. It's that convenient.
So it sounds to me that if you're going ahead and you have the people downloading the app, you're able to glean certain data and insights from them that'll better pair them with the pricing that they're looking for at a hotel. Am I right, or is that?
Yes, it's not just pricing. It's pricing. Typically, what kind of rooms that person looks at. Typically,
so you're talking about personalization.
Hyper personalization.
Yeah.
We do that. What kind of rooms they look at. Typically, in fact, we go to the level that, we see that this particular guest really looks at hotels with restaurants. That kind of. So always, we suggest them some hotels with as a restaurant because he or she prefers that. Sometimes we always see one particular guest is always interested in a hotel near the airport. So then you don't really, the first initial choices which you show to that person is based on his past preferences, is based on what has been the search preferences for that customer, and making sure that guest gets the best out of that.
Wow, that's fascinating. Dipali, let me talk to you a little bit about how you guys are thinking about brand standards, if there are any, so you have some sort of uniformity, but allow your owners to represent themselves as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we consider ourselves a very partner first or patron first brand. We do have brand standards, but we don't offer as many restrictions as other brands do. Like, we don't have any required vendors that you need to work with. We give you the
Hold on, I got an applause button here. I'm playing a little applause for you. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So we want to be equitable with our hotel owners. They are our partners and our patrons. So all of the brand standards are created to be minimally invasive while still offering a great guest experience. And, we don't require certain updates, certain prototypes. I mean, we want the bare minimum branding in a room, but besides that, you don't need to change to a new prototype after 5 years. You don't need, we don't have contracts that are restrictive that you need to be with Oyo for 30 years and you have to reinvest in a PIP every 5 years. We don't do any of that.
Good. And I'll tell you, for me, coming from the guest point of view, I never understood why there needs to be a very specific type of alarm clock in there. As long as it meets my needs and it matches the context of what the hotel is trying to do, then I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah, exactly. And that is what we are trying to do. Make it as less restrictive as possible, a 90-day notice period, so that, because if you don't have to change a lot of things, and if for any reason, the owner wants to move on, a lot of time we see that the property is sold off some of the times. So in that case, the property has to go through a minimum change.
That's right.
While I mean, in last 1 year, we signed close to 45, 48 properties, and out of that only 4 or 5 have left us.
Wow.
So, and out of that only two left because they were sold. So our retention cohort has been really great from the second half of 2021, when the pandemic kind of eased out. And we look forward to making sure that we have much more deeper relationship with our patrons now.
So, how do you go on, Vaughn?
And I just think that that really says something, because we don't sign 20 and 30-year contracts. We don't even sign 15-year contracts.
That was going to be my question.
Yeah, and most of our contracts offer a 0 LD. All you need is a 90-day notice. So there's really nothing holding people into the Oyo contract except for satisfaction.
Right.
And so our NPS, our Net Promoter Score with our patrons is through the roof. People are really happy. They have the freedom to leave the brand at any time, but still our retention is in the 90 percentile range.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. So, to get started, what would I need to invest in as an owner? Obviously, some signage and stuff like that. But beyond that, what are you typically thinking?
Minimum. It's very, very minimum. It's like photography, because we have our own photography standards. We don't really, ask them to go and make the entire change in signage. The minimum change in signage necessary. There are some of the internal daily consumables which Oyo works closely with them in providing, and I think that's all. That's all.
And I would say the bedding and the shower, we just want to make sure that it's up to our standards.
Well, those are the two quintessential elements that are most important.
Yeah. So we think that the bathroom needs to be of a certain standard. You don't need to run the color of the tile by us, but everything has to be working, not rusted. Certain water pressure, hot water, like the basic expectations of cleanliness and functionality should be there. And then with the bedding, again, it should be comfortable. But we do have a suggested Oyo bedding, and that's for branding, and that's for like a clean white sheets, and what the guests expect and what they want.
Right. I'm thinking about creating a hotel brand that only has floral bedspreads. What do you think about that? Taking it back 90s style. We'll make it retro.
Motel chic. It might make a comeback. You never know.
Well, let's hope not. For sure. Yeah.
In fact, it's very interesting. I built the Japan business for Oyo, and there you have something called a ryokan, which is more of a very specific to Japan, where as you said, these are hot water springs, and then these would be just 10, 12 rooms hotels, and you have you call it tatami in Japan, where tatami means it's like a bed on the floor. So you take out the bed away when in the day, and then you bring it back. So yeah, those kind of things really, a lot of what I feel is the new age guest or the consumer are looking for experiences rather than for luxury. Right. I see most of that happening, that guests look for different kind of experiences. They are looking at places where they feel, oh, is it something close to it gives me some kind of a different experience rather than saying what's the price for it. That we still do that. The family segment where people travel with their families would want to spend 1 or 2 days in a luxury resort or something. Yeah. But typically when you're traveling alone or when you're traveling with few friends, as you said, you could be great at building something new.
Yeah, for sure. And my needs for traveling when I'm a solo traveler, not attached to an event, is I just need a bed because I'm out doing business all day. I don't just get too precious about it. But when I'm traveling with my family, I want something a little bit different, maybe a little bit, more of that experience that you're talking about there. But Prasun, I got to ask you. I've been trying to get my family to Japan since the summer of 2020. Okay. What was your favorite food that you had in Japan? Regularly.
I love sushi. Yeah. I love sushi. I became a fan of sushi. Yeah. I started having sashimi. Yeah. And there are a few places in Tokyo, but there are a few in Kobe, which are very famous. And if you
I'm sure you had some beef while you were there too.
No, I didn't try that. But if you're a fan of steak and beef, then Kobe beef is like famous place to try that.
Are you? Do you consider yourself a pescatarian then, or do you eat?
No,
meat
I
as
mean
well?
I typically eat most of the food available. I try to experiment a lot.
That's cool.
And Japan is a great country to experiment.
Listen, my family, we love Japanese culture. We love the food. It is that's why we got to get over there so much. But we'll get there eventually. So
yeah, they have just opened what I hear is now they have just opened the travel.
Yeah,
so,
well, we were hoping to go this summer, but now things are getting a little complicated. I think we're just going to go to Hawaii instead this year and then make it all the way over to Japan
if you're interested in skiing, you go to Hokkaido. They have the best snow.
I'm interested in getting the drinks after skiing. I'm not much of a skier. I would wreck out and be a dead man right away. And I don't know if my wife's health insurance is that
Hokkaido has one of the best snow, they say, in the world.
Yeah.
Are you a foodie?
Big time. Yeah.
When you're in Japan, you should definitely check out the okonomiyaki.
Yeah.
It's like a street food. You can find it everywhere, but it's kind of hard to come by in the United States.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, we just did a big, fancy sushi meal on Saturday night at a place that actually a Japanese couple moved from Tokyo to, for some reason, Comac, Long Island, and opened up a really awesome sushi joint. So we try to go there whenever we can. And I'm not telling you the name so it doesn't ruin it for me, people out there. All right, so as we're recording this, we're sitting here on the AHOA show floor. Great event. As I said in my intro, so many thousands of people here. What's your experience been like during the AHOA Con and becoming inculcated with the AHOA family here in the United States?
So for me, it's a great experience. This is my first time in AHOA Con. I've just moved to the US in December, so this is my first time. Amazing.
But hold on, I got to ask you about moving to the US. How crazy is it to make such a change to move to another country where things are so dramatically different?
So for me, it has not been, because I used to stay in US earlier.
Okay, so you're already.
I was used to stay in New York 5-6 years back, and then with OYO, with this global expansion, I have been moving across countries.
That's cool.
So for me, it was I wouldn't say that tough, and my teammates made it much more better.
Fascinating career though, to be able to travel from country to country and bring in a brand and really learn about the people and stuff.
It has been. I've been building OYO in India, in Nepal, held in Sri Lanka, then in Japan, then in Middle East, UK. Now heading the US, Mexico, Brazil.
Wow.
So yeah, it has been fascinating for all of us.
That's great. I don't mean to brag, but I'm going to be in Las Vegas and Orlando this year. So yeah, we got that. All right, so back to AHOA.
Yeah. So but we have team members who have been attending AHOA Con for the last 2 decades, and they had always told me it's a great event. So we love it. We want to build a very deeper relationship with AHOA Con, the members. We have met so many patrons here. So it was really great. It was great to meet the leaders, Vinay and Neil.
Yeah.
Have a chat with them and understand how's this market going to look like. What are the the few key initiatives on which AHOA is working.
Right.
My best wishes to Neil as he takes over the position of the chairman. So yeah, for me it has been a great experience, and I'm looking forward to even today, meeting so many patrons, leaders out here.
Yeah, and I really hope that when we air this, which should be about a week after AHOA ends, that Vinay's on vacation somewhere, because he deserves it after all that he's been through. So what about you, Dipali? What's your impressions of everything that you're seeing around here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been coming to AHOA. This is not my first rodeo, but the energy here is so.
But did you go on the bull last night that they had?
I did not, but last year.
we sponsored it.
Yeah, it was our party actually. It was the OYO party. Yeah.
So go on, please.
So I mean, the energy level is incredible, and I mean, I think AHOA is like a living, breathing American dream organization, right? Where people, like most of the members here, have such inspiring stories of, the immigrant experience, the small business experience. It's a network of small business owners from across the country and beyond, and like the amount of wealth generation that OYO has facilitated is probably in the billions. So we think it's an amazing organization. We're very aligned with AHOA's values and the values of AHLA and like a lot of the other trade industries here, because we're all about the hotel owner, right? Like this is what OYO wants to do. We want to empower small to medium-sized hotel owners, even large hotel owners. Like we want to provide the platform. We want to be a hand-in-hand partner, so we all grow together.
Great. I love it. All right, guys. We're reaching the end of our time together. You've been so good. You've earned a shameless plug. How can we learn more about Oyo? How can we find you guys?
Oh, great. I think the best way to find us visit our website. See more about us, learn more about us. We have a lot of YouTube videos on our Ritesh, who is the founder of this company, who is just 27 years old.
That's insane.
He started when he was 21. So learn about it, learn about our, we typically have two businesses, the hotel business and the vacation home business. So learn about it. And if nothing, just reach out to one of us. We have so many leaders across US in different cities. We keep visiting a lot of patrons. Just reach out to one of us. We'll be more than happy. And if nothing, what I just said is, if you're a patron, just reach out to us. We will provide you a free health diagnostic report, a revenue health scorecard. I mean, that's the best way to start a relationship.
I like this health diagnostic report. Can you do anything about my cholesterol level, though? I'm curious about that.
If only it was that easy.
All right. Prasun Choudhary and Dipali Gaswami, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Glenn.
Take care. Thanks for watching.